Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you. Good afternoon. I am Arohi Tyagi, Associate Dean here at AAFT Online. And I, on behalf of the entire AAFT Online family, welcome you all to this special webinar wherein we talk about the future jewelry. And what could be more exciting than to have with us Miss Shreya Parekh, who is the founder and CEO of Rosia Jewels, which is a distinguished, and she is also a distinguished graduate of the National Institute of Fashion Technology, which is NIFT, where she specialized in jewelry design and precious metals. Before establishing Rosia Jewels, she gained invaluable experience working with leading pioneers in the jewelry industry. Her passion for creation, meticulous eye for detail, and love for intricate craftsmanship make each Rosia jewel truly spectacular. Well, Shreya's hands on approach ensures that she is personally involved in every custom piece, from the initial design and selection of crafting techniques to sourcing the diamonds and the gemstones as well. She oversees the entire fabrication and production process, ensuring that each piece meets her high standards before it reaches the client. So, without further ado, let me welcome Shreya ma'am here. Hi, ma'am. How are you doing?
Hi, Arohi. Very good afternoon to everyone. I hope I'm audible to everyone. And if not, kindly message me in the chat box. All
Yes, you're
right. Firstly,
audible.
wonderful. Firstly, I would like to thank AFT for inviting me to the session today. And I hope what we share today can contribute to the growth trajectory of your journey in achieving your goals, ambitions, aspirations, and dreams. All right, then, let's begin. So here I will be just sharing my screen for you.
Okay, so before we begin, a small piece of note to all the learners. Please bring in a pen and a paper in case you want to note down few of the tips which Shreya ma'am is going to share here. You can just quickly note them down. So get a pen and a paper. And also, in case you have any questions related to the talk, you can put them in the Q&A box, which is located right below on your screens. And I'll be taking them up at the end when the talk is finished. So all yours, ma'am.
All right. So first of all, I would just like to share a quick, I would like to shed the light on the topic that we'll be discussing today, and that is the future forward jewelry. How we are merging technology, sustainability, and emerging jewelry trends as we go in the industry, because it's evolving every now and then. There is some new technology coming forward, and it's getting integrated in the industry. So here we are going to discuss this very closely, and I hope my pace is to your liking. And if not, just do let me know that in advance. All right, so this will be your itinerary for today, guys. First, we are going to have a quick introduction about what I do and how, as a designer, I have evolved and brought, adapted to this technology, brought into the company, and how it has helped me grow from a designer to an entrepreneur today. Right. Second, we'll be discussing the merging technology techniques that are available that you can incorporate, and we can move forward from there. Then we'll be discussing the sustainable jewelry options that you have and what are the ways that you can do so. The next will be the emerging trends, wherein we'll be discussing, the trends that have been not just the jewelry forecasting, but also, how the markets are changing and how you can adapt to it. The next will be a very debatable topic, and that is a natural versus lab-grown diamonds. So it's as you are a budding designer, you must know what is the debate that's going, where it is stemming from, and how you have to incorporate it eventually. Then we'll be talking about the jewelry regulations, because if you're a jewelry designer, you must know how you have to secure your customers. You must know what all authenticity standards are there to follow, and how best you can give your product out there. The next will be, as a jewelry designer, what all you need to be to make the success in this industry. Very often people ask this question that how we can make careers in jewelry. This is where we talk about the wholesome approach of how it will happen. The next is the manufacturing process, how it is been through in a complete company, not just a product, a proper product journey that we'll be discussing here, which will take you from start to end. And as a designer, you must know from acquiring of the resources to designing the jewelry, from merchandising to delivering the end product with the proper packaging, everything is a part of the manufacturing process. And this is where you need to be well versed with each and every step of it. Lastly, we'll be discussing the careers in jewelry industry. Though people only feel that as a jewelry designer, you can only be a designer who just takes a pen and paper and design. And I clearly don't agree with that term, because I would say that I am one of such example where you have your heart and soul involved in every product that you create. You see to it that it is done to the perfection. That is how I believe. Coming on to the next. All right. So, before we start with the presentation and everything, I would like to give you an introduction about myself and how, as a designer, we have chased my dreams and everything and building company Rosia, right? I'm Shriya Parekh, a jewelry designer, as Arohi said, graduated from NIFT Gandhinagar. In early years, I had worked with pioneers of our industry like Ganjam, Mirari, Pratibha before I founded jewelry, but never held myself only to pertaining to designing. I always wanted to know everything there is to know about jewelry, from fabrication to procuring to diamonds to everything. Because one day I knew if I want to build my own company, every piece of knowledge in this journey that I've acquired will be used. Okay. So first of all, the first thing what makes Rosia is, it means Ronak's Shriya. That's Ronak is my husband's name. And that's how we came up with the concept. And this is the foundation of our company. We are basically artists at heart and a storyteller. Every piece of jewelry that we make stems from the story. And this is what makes us very unique, and something that is, we found a niche in our own industry, right? So this is where we basically create bespoke jewelry, that is custom made jewelry, which is inspired from our clients, made especially for them and treasures their love and story. It is as unique as they are, right? The next thing is that how technology has helped us build this is that we, from a sketch, from an imagination, we bring it to reality. Like Rosia Jewels is an atelier of custom made jewelry where we build a boutique experience for globally with realistic and approachable and two scale services that we give. We thrive on the passion of design your own. That means that you just have to imagine, and this is a place, this is a studio where you can create however you like. So this is a back office service for people who are aspiring to have something of their own, right? This is where we bring their dreams to life, where we bring their imaginary products to life. Why am I sharing this? Is simply for you to understand that how technology is going to help you evolve your designs into a final end product. The first thing, what this is a brand USP that we have. This is what makes us special, that every product has, this is concept jewelry. So every product that we design here has a unique story, has a story which a customer is treasuring for life, eventually will become their family heirloom. All these products has a unique story about them. Some have been, got from it's made for a tennis player. Some have been made because they're a traveler. Some because they're a pilot. Someone wants to treasure a photo pendant. Some people want to have their engravings and all these things, yeah, which makes it more personalized. Next thing is this, that we specialize in working, developing the same concept into multiple price point. What does that mean is that a client who wants to come and buy your product, if it is very high priced, as a designer, you have that bandwidth to make it into different proportions and bring it according to the price point that the customer can afford. This is what's the specialty at Rosia, that every design can be made in multiple price point, from small, medium, large, XL, depending on our customer's budget. So technically, we would say your design and your price. All right. Moving forward, this is the first where we are merging the technology. Technology is transforming jewelry industry, as we all know, from computer-aided designing. Now, what it basically means is that whatever 2D sketches that we have today, a lot of intricacy, a lot of detailing can be added to each and every design with a 2-scale model, which eventually will be 3D printed into a wax prototype. which is a 2-scale model, which you can use for the casting and eventually show it as a demo piece to your customers so that they can understand that what is the detailing and what is the 2-scale, because customer doesn't have a clarity on what is the real proportion that it's going to have. The next is that in, adding a VR, AR, VR is very trending nowadays, because since jewelry is going online, there is a lot of e-commerce platforms that are being opened, digital cataloging happening. So AR, VR basically allows you to go global. So what that means is that when a customer sitting, far away wants to try out your product, they will simply click on the product, and with integration of this AR, VR, the customer can actually see how it's looking on their ears, how they're looking in the hand, and this is what helps them, make that trust factor is generated in them, because they feel that, okay, this is the proportion, I'm liking the spread, and okay, I'm willing to buy this for this price. So AR, VR is the next in thing, which will help them have a virtual experience without personally visiting the place. The next thing that we focus on is the CNC and laser cut machinery. Now, this basically is very important because they help you get very lightweight jewelry without gold wastage. This is the importance. Now, if you have a very particular product in mind, if you have things, so nowadays there's a lot of avoidance of wastage, because earlier we used to handcraft everything. They agar 50 ग्राम का कड़ा बनाना है, तो you would end up going for 100 grams to begin with, and then for wastage निकलते निकलते the percentage of the wastage goes higher. Right. So to CNC and laser cut manufacturing has actually got the minimal wastage to 1 or 2% or even lesser if you got very clear designs and everything. And plus this is machine generated designs. So it's so you have to feed in the designs, and the computer and the machines that are incorporated, like chains and all the bangles, the kadas, all these kind of things, they are laser cut and they're made from CNC bangles. The next is a very interactive and transformative jewelry. Like, a lot of different non-precious jewelry have come into the market, where they are having, changeable shapes and functions based on the wearer's actions, moods, and environment. So it is very adaptable. Then comes the wearable tech. Now, this is where technology is, stepping in, giving, nowadays you must have seen the rings that are coming, which are, fitness tracker, a communication device, LED display and all that. So this is what the transformation is basically about, is how the world is growing on one side, and how you transfer using that technology to make the life simpler of the user. The main aspect of a designer is problem solving. If there is a problem, you identify the problem and how technology is making it more simpler and smoother to achieve that. That is the bottom line. Okay. So far, I hope my pace is good. And if I'm going too fast, you can let me know. All good? Then I can have a thumbs up.
Yes, sure.
All right. Moving on, we will be discussing the art of bringing dreams to life. What this basically means is that this is how we as the company has incorporated technology into our process. The first stage is that, whether you talk virtually, you take up meetings, or, through Google or through Zoom calls and all, you take a meeting, you give a consultation to them, they understand the sketch and ability, and then you transform those sketches to your CAD design, which is the 3D prototype. From top view, side view, angle view, you can present them with gold color, rose gold color, you can give them white gold color, and it's all the views along with that the customer can understand. Because they may not be, as designers, we are being blessed with imagination, but our customers who cannot even pair up the clothes, they would simply say that we are coming to you, we are paying you for the service, we want you to take this call, what will be the right approach, give us a consultative approach, that what is good for us. This is what's the key role of a designer. And this is how we the knowing all these technology will help you eventually help your customer that to build these kind of things and understand that what you're trying to convey to them. So this is a communication medium, the CAD design, that for you to help your customer understand. Then comes the 3D prototype. Now, sometimes, CAD designs alone cannot give you a right idea about the proportions. So you can also have this 3D printing that eventually goes for the casting, but you can also use it as a prototype to help your customer know that, okay, this is the size it's going to come out to be, whether you want it smaller or whether you want it bigger. This is a correlation to that. Then comes the fabrication. Now, this is where the entire 2D and 3D process completes. And this will help you because of CAD CAM. This reduces the wastage, which is the key ingredient thing for the environment as well. And plus from the price point aspect also. And the final thing is where you deliver the product with the to scale expectation, which is set with the customer that, okay, this is what we had committed and this is what we are delivering. Moving on to the next thing. So the bottom line is this: the focus of merging technology should be that futuristic and innovative concepts that makes life simpler, that solves the problems, and yet it is luxurious. That as a designer is your task, that you have to make sure that your designs are innovative. It keeps, upgrading yourself with the trends and all, and how you can incorporate this technology to make the life simpler for your customer, right? Moving on, the next one is the sustainable jewelry, which is, as it says, eco-friendly, right? Now, there are so many ways that you can do so, but since there are so many environmental issues, the idea is that the jewelry with minimal environmental impact in ensuring ethical practices, right? So what that means is that you can have recycled gold, like there's a lot of restoration and recycling of old gold and diamond jewelries into trend. That upskilling of the old diamonds and gemstones, repurposing from the old jewelry, ethically sourced, which basically means that you are sourcing it from legitimate sources. You are not, the legitimate sources basically means that they are not blood diamonds. The money is not being funded to any kind of terrorism. So that basically means conflict-free diamonds. The other thing is that the fair trade practices, that you're being, giving fair wages and safe working environment to your employees and to your artisans who are working for you. Because like this is, daily working with tools and sharp tools and all. So you also have to make sure that, as a company, you're providing that secure environment to your team. Then comes the lab grown and gemstones. Now, these are basically very much popular right now because they are created in a controlled lab environment, right? That means that because the mining has too many, it's too risky. It is also very costly as an effect. This is basically reducing the overall impact and is more ethical in terms of delivering the end product, which is exactly like the real diamond. Eco-friendly packaging is like whenever you deliver a product, the overall the luxury, the aspect, like when you deliver product, it should come in a very in a happy goodie bag, right? So that packaging also, if plastics and everything's are into place, they're not being recycled, they're not biodegradable, and they're not reusable, it actually hampers. So it's always best to go for eco-friendly packaging when you are delivering your products and goods to your customers. The next is vegan jewelry. So this is also very much in trend because, earlier there was a lot of leather that was being used, which is harming animals and all. So any day, plant-based materials and synthetic stones is very much trending, which we address as vegan jewelry. But yes, this has not been used into fine jewelry. This is more into fashion jewelry and into costume jewelry that we have. The next aspect is the jewelry with minimal environmental impact means also the slow fashion. Now, every design as a designer that we create should not be on a short term. It has to have the longevity in mind, saying that it's more of a classic design as compared to something which is very contemporary and in the moment. Because those kind of design, they fade away quite quickly, and customers, when they pay for making charges and all, they don't feel very happy because now it's out of trend. So more the classic pieces there are, more the sustainable option is there. And something which is, keeping in mind that this is more custom made, then you have a story with it, you have an emotional connect with it. And that is what is more important. And of course, nowadays, with the sustainable jewelry, this small scale productions, they are very much trending, where have the local artisans in support. You're bringing the local art, you're reviving the local art, and also you're producing small quantities, not just, producing too many designs and then, recycling them when they're not being sold. So more articulated in a very, very beautiful and very aesthetically pleasing way, which are more classic designs, right? So these are the first things. And then what is the kind of customizing options that you can offer? Recycle is one that you can, recycle your old gold, silver and all and make into, if silver is there are a lot of silver coins at your home, you can always transform it to some utensils which you can actually use, like silver. Having water in silver glass is really very healthy for your health. So you can actually, recycle into those, repurpose, eco-friendly, minimal, ethical, and innovation. These are the key points that you need to have in mind when you're planning for sustainable jewelry. And this is the option that how we incorporate this. Like we offer an option where we have design your own jewelry, wherein you can be more connected emotionally with the jewelry that you're creating, and you can have endless possibility for customization. You can design as per your budget. When you have a certain budget in mind, then we specialize in working backwards so that customer is not even paying 10 rupees extra than their prescribed budget. Then, customizing their existing jewelry, that they have certain old pieces and we have revamped them and restructured them using the same gold and diamond, and the customer is paying only for the making charges to revive and restore them, right? Buying from the collection is like one option that, okay, if you don't have options, that you as a designer, you have your own line, you have your own collection, own signature style, own creativity to showcase. And if something aligns with their ideas, then they definitely can look into them. And yes, redesigning your heirloom pieces, as in we are a lot into restoring when customers have their this particular old jewelry passed on from their grandparents and they don't want to melt it, and the size doesn't fit. So for a lot of our customers, what we have done is that if there is a grandmother's bangle and then the sizes was different, because they used to work a lot with their hands, and their hands were very petite and small, and our hands nowadays are more on the broader side, which is pretty common fact. So we actually have this established a very ground rule. Without damaging the product, we make it openable so that you can recycle the same product and enjoy your grandparents' heirloom without letting go of their original piece. So this definitely is one of my favorite, which is restoring the heirlooms, because it helps you connect with your ancestors. It helps you, deeply be loved and cherished if they have passed on something to you. Yes. So now moving, so the focus should be reducing environmental impact when going for the sustainable jewelry, while creating beautiful and exquisite pieces with minimal ecological footprint. Okay. So shall we move on to the next one? All right. So here we are going to be discussing about the emerging jewelry trends. Now, as a designer, it is always advised to be, up to date with the trends that are going in market, not just from the industry standpoint, from the business standpoint, from the stock market standpoint, from the creative aspect, to the trending, to the colors, to motives, to themes that are being out there, the inspirations, the wedding market, because jewelry primarily is associated with luxury. Right. So luxury is not something that you wake up today and say, okay, I want to shop today and I'm going to buy this today, right? It is a very well thought and a very well planned product. So it is always advisable when the customer is spending their hard-earned money, they want it to be treated the right way, whether so that product speaks for itself, right? So what it basically means is that innovation, sustainability, and personalization. These are the key 3 points that is being focused right now, was predicted earlier, and is going to be in trend for a really long time. Yeah. What it means is that lab-grown diamonds, because they are more sustainable, they are eco-friendly, they are going to be picking up a lot of trends, and there's a quite much faster capture of the market in terms of the lab-grown versus natural diamond. Lab-grown is not something very recent. American diamond was also, when we were kids, our parents' time, there was this American diamonds which been introduced, and they are also lab-grown. Zircons are also lab-grown. So this is just a better version, and it's kind of a very, I would say it's a very proud moment that we have been able to create something which is so close to diamond, and it replicates the exact same hues and saturations that the real diamond has the ability to. Whereas moissanite and American diamond and cubic zirconia, they don't have the same imitation ability as compared to diamonds. Hence, this is slightly more priced as compared to those. But yes, those are also lab-grown diamonds. But what we are talking about is the CVD and HPHD kind of lab-grown diamonds, which we'll discuss in the further slides. Next is that they have, like I said, they have increased popularity because of the advancement in technology. And in the future coming times, it's going to be made much more cheaper. from what the cost price it is right now at what it was introduced earlier. The prices have gone down. It will go further down, which is to an advantage of everybody, right? The next is custom made and personalized jewelry. This is what I cherish the most, because I personally believe that something which is just created off the shelf is not my style. And if you are a particular person, if you believe that I want a certain thing in a certain way, then you should not go for something which is off the shelf, because it's not designed for you, keeping in mind for you. It's a product which you have just purchased like a cloth, right? So personalized basically have a story. It makes a bonfire story that tomorrow you want to discuss it with share it with your kids, with your grandkids, with your friends and family, that this is how you have curated your product. This is how you go. It gives you a sense of connection to something that you have got. And to be very honest, ek time pe custom made jewelry was Raja Maharaja ke shop, but now it has been made for accessible for everybody, right? So bespoke design is something which is trending, because nowadays, because of availability of too many motifs, very regular motifs, people want to be exclusive. So what is the role of jewelry? The first thing is that when you walk into a room, the first thing you need to realize, if you walk into a room, the kind of jewelry that you're wearing speaks volume about your wealth, about your status, about your power. It speaks volume about your character. It's the aesthetics that it brings on. So adorning something, just like even if you're wearing a simple gold hoop, it speaks about the simplicity. It speaks about your thought process. So it's quite similar to how you dress up. The jewelry is also very important function, because it speaks volume about your character. The next thing is monogramming. What means is like having your initials to things. Initially, there was some historical period where the kings and queens, they used to have this proper monogram as a brooch and as the collar pins and all that. These were very much into things. They are trending again. We are going back to 1950s and 60s, and those era where we are revamping the entire thing into Art Deco, Art Nouveau, Art Victorian and Edwardian style. Which this is what is going. We're going back again to those styles, because contemporary minimalism has been there for quite some time, but now we want to add those milligrain aspect, the detailing aspect, the more intricate aspect, ornamental aspect to these kind of things. The next thing is the emotional connect with you. Once you have created something, you're a part of the process. It definitely holds that love and that space in your heart. So that's definitely there with the custom made. And along with that, having engravings as a part of things. So for custom made jewelry, or customers who are having engagements and all, for engaged couples, we always give them an engraving. That it's a small gesture that we offer. What does that mean is that they both write a message, a secret message for each other in each other's ring, which kinds of keep it very romantic, and they can discover it on the day of their engagement. So that's how we help them, not just from the design standpoint, but also, celebrating this joy and moment of creating something very personalized and very personal to them, right? All right. So the other aspect is vintage and retro inspired design, like I had just shared with you. That resurgence of Art Deco era, Victorian, Edwardian era inspired, bold contrast in metals and gemstones, geometric shapes, intricate detailing, antique setting, use of gemstones like sapphires, emeralds, rubies, and pearls, and etc. If you're planning for a precious jewelry, right? So what this means is like, now the particular aspect of that era was detailing, which nowadays, people are more inclining towards that. They want a statement piece. Now, why statement piece? Because there was a time where the entire emphasis was on one solitaire, and along with the jewelry, and also there was very aesthetic motives that were there. But be mindful, there's a very thin line between a Victorian and Edwardian era. They are not the same. Similarly, there's a very thin line between Art Deco and Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau, you'll find it more towards the ornamental style. Art Deco is more towards the geometrical style, but something with its curvy edges and all. And the milligrain detailing and everything is there. And also the motives are quite repetitive, but they're used aesthetically in a very calming way, giving the emphasis always on the solitaire, right? So this particular era of jewelry was always focused on one center big stone. That was the core idea. Coming to the next one is the diamond stacking and layering. Like nowadays, very thin bangles and very thin bracelets have been in trend, and stackable rings and everything. So you want, to load one thing into multiple layers, right? So that is something, layering of the necks from 14 inches from choker all the way going to thin chains, all the way going to your lariats, which is going to be approximately 22 inches. So when you're looking at the layering, always be mindful about the sizes that you look into. Like, for example, a choker is at 12 inches, a collar is at 14 inches, then a princess at 16 inches, then a queen necklace is at 18 inches, and so on. The length will go down, right? So when you are layering, you always have to make sure that the measurements and the length are accurate in when you're styling for this. And it has to be focused on the equal, that the over wholesome is on the stack. Then comes the colored diamond and gemstones. Now, center big pieces, which are more statement pieces oriented, the fancy colors, they are coming in trend, because now that the lab grown is into picture, the ki aaj mujhe red color chahiye, aaj mujhe blue color chahiye, aaj mujhe green color chahiye, that's coming a thing. So now you can have every color in your wardrobe because of the lab grown, because that's made it very accessible. Earlier you had to think, okay, emerald chahiye, oh my god, it's going to be costing 2.5 lakhs. Nahi, aaj chhod dete, we'll stick to ruby, slightly cost will might come down. So these factors, or okay, let's just check out the emeralds or rubies and sapphires. Let's go to pearls, because they are cultured pearls. We can get it at 550 rupees per gram. So that's trend is going to change very soon, because at the same pricing you're going to be getting the lab growns and the big bold statement pieces. So again, the entire focus has to be with the emerging jewelry trends. The entire focus has to be about something unique. Okay. So this is one of the custom made rings that we did. Now, this is a problem solving. I would like to give you a little idea. The customer here said that, they cannot use diamonds. They, according to their family traditions and all, Indian house mein aapko milega ki they had badha, that they cannot buy the diamonds. So they wanted something custom made, which celebrates their love story. So here we have initials of the couple, S and R, right? Which makes the couple band and makes it more unique with a white and yellow gold setting for the men's and female. This is more inclining towards, the new trending that is coming, that is sculptural and modern designs, minimal designs with a twist, that you don't have to go too overboard on things. Very, very innovative and creative ideas, which no other person would have. That is so much attracting to our customers these days, that they want something unique only meant for them. And this is what, as a designer, is your responsibility to deliver. Okay. Asymmetrical pieces, they fluid forms or organic forms. The more the rawness is there, the more they are in trend. You might, check out a lot of options on Etsy, where you'll find very raw gemstones being studded on the rings and being sold and being appreciated for its raw beauty, rather than being, cut and polished into a finished gemstone. So that is also something which has been evolving in the trend for now. And it is hugely, like, you'll find a lot of raw diamonds being used as a solitaire rather than cut and polish, to be unique, because it has the same properties, same thing, but the look is so different. Then now the jewelry is always related to the wedding segment. So non-traditional engagement rings, like such as this, was one of the key ingredients that is trending in the market. And also there will be a projection for alternative for wedding bands, that they don't want to wear wedding bands altogether. So they might end up going for something completely different, and that you can be creative with. So the focus of emerging jewelry trends is embracing luxury with customization, sustainability, and innovation. Emphasis is on individuality. So you always have to focus that one person is, what's their character, what the kind of jewelry they would be ideal for them, would be suitable for them. So that's the kind of designer you should be, who can incorporate all these aspects, whether be it's customization, whether it be sustainability, it beats technology, it beats innovation, creativity. You have to focus on making it a delight for your customer. Coming on to the next one is the very debatable topic, that is natural and lab-grown diamond. I hope, Arohi, my speed is good. I'm not going too fast.
Yeah, you could go a little slower also, but it's okay.
Yeah, and point taken. All right. So, natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, as you all know, one comes from the natural earthy things. Now, I'll tell you a very interesting fact of diamonds. Yeah. So, diamonds have been into existence when there was no sign of oxygen, when there was no sign of living or water or anything, right? It has always been into existence. Uske samne na dinosaur bhi recent hai. So I would say that diamonds have the energy or the energy that it harness, or the beauty that it has, that even if you buy a pair of stud, the left and right will never be identical. That's the beauty of a diamond, that it can never be replicated. Property wise, yes, we can definitely replicate it, and that's what we have established with lab grown diamonds. But the energy, the prosperity, the beauty, the luster that it harnesses with the natural hues and saturations, it is one of the hardest substance on earth. And initially diamond को काटने के लिए भी diamond ही चाहिए होता था. एक छोटी सी diamond की स्लेटी होती थी, and in small villages in Gujarat, the women in their lunchtime, they used to actually cut and facet those diamonds, the small diamonds. So initially, where we did not have the laser technology, and we used to facet the diamonds through that, right? So this is the fun fact that natural diamonds, yes, it's rare. It's the more the rare diamond is, the more costly it becomes. The more, and of course, it is tremendous pressure on the mining, and the kind of deep rooted these diamonds are, right? And I think during the COVID, there was a kind of a joke that, India में ना rough जो आती है वो अफ्रीका और रशिया से आती है, right? So ना rough diamonds आ रहे हैं, तो cut and polish, तो India is the biggest producer for cut and polish of rough diamonds. तो produce तो कुछ हो नहीं रहा, तो एक काम करते, rocket बना लेते, and we go to the nearest planet and we get the diamonds from there. Why? Because there's a fun fact that the other planets, they have diamond rains. Diamonds are basically crystallized carbons, and they are, they are under extreme heat and pressure, it is built, right? So this is what it says. So under billions of years ago, they got embedded. The more inside the earth they go, the more it's taking for the mining and everything, right? So more of the color diamonds and everything, the more rare the aspect is. And red diamond is also supposed to be said that it might be somewhere, but it hasn't been found yet, right? So that is also, so you may find yellow and pink and blues and greens in abundance, but a fiery red diamond is something yet to be discovered still. All right, so let's discuss the pros. Like I said, that intrinsic value, symbol of wealth and status. Now, people are looking at diamonds, natural diamonds, as a long-term investment. This is the pro with diamonds, that even if you invest a small amount, you will always find an ROI if you go for a certified GIA or IGI certified solitaires, right? It has unique characteristics, and it has a heritage and traditional approach, right? It's an emotional significance that you have, that, okay, yes, this is my mom's ring, this is my dad's ring, has been passed on to me. And having a diamond is still considered as perceived as a matter of prestige, right? Because see, lab grown has come into picture because to fulfill one particular, it's solving one particular problem, and that is giving the solving the aspirations of billions of, like, lakhs of people who are wanting to wear solitaire without spending that amount. So yes, it definitely solves the problem, and that's why it is becoming more adaptable, and it's going very popular very fast. So lab grown का advantage ये है कि it is very ethically and environmentally it's very perfect, and sustainable sourcing is there, ethical sourcing is there, and the quality is consistent. With diamond, what is happening is that it's that like I said, that is no two diamonds are alike. So the pairing is always difficult with the diamond. That if you're building a necklace, that you have to make sure that the color clarity will go plus and minus. You have to keep a balance of that. If the cut is different, then you have to make sure that a different set of color clarity will be followed for a different thing. Round will behave differently. Pear shape will behave differently. Princess and cushion and marquise. So surprisingly, oval, marquise, and pear shape, they have a very same tendency when used in a spread. So they have a similar behavior when you're designing a jewelry. So that's because of the cutting style. Next is the transparency and the cost effectiveness. You actually exactly know that which lab has made it. Okay, so there are two type of lab grows that you want to make a note of. One is an HPHT and one is a CVD. CVDs are basically these are two basic processes that that lab grown is being made with, and HPHT is mostly like a to put it in a short way, like a Chinese seed that you bring in, and simplify the process for you, it's like baking a muffin in the oven. Okay, so it's just that you have a two different batter, and like you have to heat the seed to or the batter to grow up, right? Like have this complete effect. So similarly, CVD and HPHT are two simple processes, and we as a company stand for CVDs because they have more closer use and saturations as compared to HPHT. They are more whiter in color. And yes, of course, they're, of course, CVDs from Indian grown. So I would definitely support the country, right? And technology innovation, that is it. So these are the pros for natural diamond and lab grown diamond. Coming on to the next one is what are the cons for the both, right? Environmental impact. The mining concerns be it's a very expensive due to the rarity, the potential ethical issues like because of the Kimberley process, things were taken care of in a very well way, but as it's always human rights violations and all because of the way they've been treated to mine these diamonds. That is not so cool, I would say. Then, as compared to the lab-grown diamonds, the resale value, it doesn't have an appreciated value, no matter even if the jeweler says that, yes, I will give you 80% buyback and all. Eventually, if the prices are coming down, right? So they always say 80% of the current value. So the current value is somewhere in the hidden place that you don't get to know that, okay, that's so you should be mindful and educative about and consultative towards your clients. You should always let them know these pros and cons, that as a designer, it's your responsibility to make sure that you educate them well. And for that, you must need to know everything there is to know and focus on these things. And the perceived value. Now, for example, if someone, you need, with lab grown, I have realized, because we make the same jewelry in natural diamonds and lab grown, so I'm kind of neutral towards both. So the perceived value, like, if you're wearing a 2 carat piece and you get down from a cab, it kinds of, gives that away that, okay, come on, yeah, lab grown penna and all that. So that is kind of an aspect that I have realized our clients, they kind of feel that, okay, ki, matlab, you have to match the solitaire size also, even if it's, within the budget and all that. If you wear some unnatural size, it kinds of, give away a little of your impression. So yes, so we have to be that I feel is a kind of a con with lab grows, no matter how tempting it is to wear all the solitaires, right? Okay, so the focus with natural diamonds and lab grown diamonds is that natural diamonds appeal to customers who are looking for long-term investment, values, traditions. कि हमारे घर में ये रिवाज है, हम लैब ग्रोन वगैरह नहीं लेंगे, लेंगे तो असली लेंगे, नहीं तो नहीं लेंगे. So that is the thing. चाहे छोटा लेंगे आज के प्राइस पॉइंट के हिसाब से, अगर हम कम अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं हम कम लेंगे, लेकिन हम नेचुरल ही लेंगे. The exclusivity, the rarity, right? This is why a person would actually want to invest in natural diamonds. For lab-grown diamonds, it appeals to people who are looking for affordability, sustainability, and ethical sourcing. Like globally, ethical sourcing is more of an agenda, and in Indian market, affordability is the major agenda. So, as per the market, also the human behavior varies. That what kind of diamond you would want to recommend to your peers. Is this good? All right. Moving on to the next one is the jewelry regulations. Now, since we are manufacturing jewelry, there are a lot of new, government appointed authenticity standards that you can follow while giving a jewelry. The first thing is that BIS HUID hallmark. Now, that is something very unique, and I feel that our government has done a fantastic job simply for this reason, because there are a lot of, since we're into restoration of old jewelry, we came across a lot of jewelry that was claimed to be 22 carat, 23 carat, or minimum 18 carat, and they turned out to be 14 carat, 15 carat, and it was very heartbreaking for the client, right? HUID, the Bureau of Indian Standard, has basically authenticated. This is a proper 6 to 8 hour process where you submit each and every product, and that gets a very unique hallmark number. And at the same time, to have a easy access, you can't keep, going. Earlier, there was a stamping, you used to check the stamping, or you rely on the brand that they're giving you authenticity. But now they have created an app which is called BIS Care app. You might want to note that down. That BIS Care app has an option, verify HUID. So tomorrow, if you're purchasing any jewelry, may that be a small or a big piece, even if you're purchasing a earring, you'll be surprised to know there are two HUID numbers given for each earring. It will not be one. For a necklace, it is one. For rings, it's one. But for earring, there are two. So as a designer, you are securing your customer. As a company, we're securing our customer. They can go on the app, they can verify the HUID that they are getting, and this is that, and that HUID will have a hallmark stating that this is 18K or 750. That means 18K carat is 75% pure gold and 25% of alloy. Then giving 14 carat, which is 580, which is 58% of gold and 42% of thing. Then 916, which is 22 carat, which means 91.67% of gold and the remaining 8.33% of alloys, right? So also I would like to, give you a fun fact here now that we're discussing gold. Do you know that how the gold changes the color? Like initially what used to happen is that in a lot of pieces are made in yellow gold and then been rhodium polished into white gold and rose gold, and eventually when your customer comes back in a shocking way, oh my god, ye to andar se yellow tha, ye to white tha, I wanted to go things. So this is very heartbreaking. So now because of this technology, you'll be surprised to know that there is 18 karat black gold, neon green, purple, blue, magenta, brown, you name a color, and there is authentic 18 karat gold, because gold is primarily a mineral. And when I say that, it is reactive. So when you fuse other minerals, it reacts. Okay, so this is one of the major reasons in 24 karat, which is, I say it is a myth because it is always 995. What that means is 99.5% pure gold or 99.9% pure gold. It's never 100%, right? So this is the percentage. So in 22 karat, the gold cannot convert because it is still in the majority of the percentage. So it doesn't have, if we, and the composition of alloys, they are basically, the silver, lead, copper, nickel, tin, palladium, platinum, right? So that's a mixture of these alloys that you put in to strengthen the gold so that it has the right amount of strength to hold things. That's why 22 karat is mostly heavy, because technically उसका एक gauge रखना पड़ता है, एक thickness रखनी पड़ती है उसको manufacture करने के लिए. तो even if you want to set a diamond jewelry for all our South Indian clients, we set the diamond which is completely embedded inside. You cannot have a 22 karat, which is a prong setting. Yeah, it is not advisable because it's very soft, or the prongs has to be like really 2 mm thickness, which nobody would like. Right. So coming on to 18 karat, it gives you the flexibility and the reactiveness that it requires. So if you're making 18 karat rose gold, the primary alloy will be copper, and that will have a little bit of tinge of silver and platinum. If you're going for the white gold, all the white metals like platinum, titanium, nickel, lead, platinum, palladium, and all these whiter metals, they are being added, and the color turns slightly paler gold. Right, that pale white effect, when you do the rhodium plating on that, it stays white more as compared to the yellow and the rose. Right. And for the yellow gold, you just need the equal percentage of gold, copper and silver both to have a complete balance approach. And yes, and also you would be shocked to know that India is a market that we have diverse, the shade of the gold that is being accepted. If you go to Kashmir, they'll have the really lightest kind of a thing. If you go to Bihar side, you have the completely different thing. If you go to Calcutta side, you will have completely little different yellow shade. If you go to South India, you'll find little reddish shade in the yellow. So technically, there are about 22 shades of yellow gold color, which has been accepted in India, pan-India, as per the cultures and the communities that we have here. Right. So it's not, inside the gold, purity is the same. It is the polish that matters. So this is the common myth that, you add a different color, because if you're going for different communities, South Indian or Marwari community or Gujarati community or Mumbai or metropolitan cities or two-tier cities or northern Kashmir, Punjab and all, everywhere the acceptance of the gold color is also different. Right. So now, coming back to this, the authenticity standards, this is where if you are giving anything which is diamond studded, right, you can always approach to labs like IGI and SGL for the studded of the jewelry certification, because basically it authenticates that all the small, other than solitaire, all the small little tiny diamonds that you have on the sides, or whether you have any stones and all, you can always go to the labs like IGI and SGL, which I feel are the best in the market for studded jewelry. And this is what we go to. If you are buying for a not a natural diamond, I always prefer, personally my favorite is GIA certified solitaire. If you're going for a natural diamond, I always prefer IGI certified solitaire. That is something because they are respectively the best in that segment, right? All right. So these are the highest authenticity standards that one follows. And since we are a studio, we are a factory, we also offer one more aspect that is the lifelong warranty of the product. So if you have created something, you have given that you've vouched for your customer, you've told them, okay, no, take this, yeah, this is going to be looking stunning on you. Then you need to make sure that you give the complete maintenance. So I never shy away from telling them that no matter, even if you feel that there's one bit of problem, give us a call and we'll take care of that. That accountability and ownership is one thing that what sets the integrity and the character for your firm, right, for your company. So this is, as a designer, you should always be backing your design, your product till the end. That is my personal motto. Then coming on to the next segment is the jewelry designer skills. Now, this is where I would like to give you personal notes on the detailing that I talk about. For a designer, it is very important to understand your character. When I say character, I exactly mean that what kind of personality do you have? Your design comes from your soul, from your heart, right? And if unless you understand, एक भेड़ चाल में चलते चलते आप अपनी एक niche market नहीं बना सकते हो, right? You really need to find out exactly what you stand for, what is your practice, what do you want to become, what do you want to aspire for, and then chase it like there is nothing else that matters in the world, right? And before that, it is very important that you start from very scratch and don't shy away from the hard work, right? I see a lot of designers nowadays, they adapt to more of the technological part of it. But let me tell you guys, even the oldest and the most famous designers in the industry, they are still hand sketching. The key ingredient is that you can never leave the pencil. Would you, if I give you a dare that take a wooden pencil and give me 12 tones from one HB pencil, most of you will fail. And this is what the key thing is. The designing this is a tool that no digital app, no Corel Draw, no Photoshop or Illustrator can give you that, even the Procreate for that matter. Everything, because you'll be more busy in figuring out what tools to adapt rather than figuring out what concept, how to chase your concept and how to evolve that concept. That always comes from a pencil. And yes, and another thing is that if you're a designer, you should always use a fountain pen. That's the first thing that I tell all my designers, because when you use a fountain pen, you actually have a tendency to keep, you're so focused to keep the nib straight that you're exactly realizing what you're making, what you're doing. And that helps you recreate and, evolve your design and the concept, right? So the first thing is that these gadgets, very good. They make your life simpler, the CAD designs and everything. But that is to refine the design. It is not to create the design. It is not to innovate the design. So the first thing is, the day, if you want to be a successful designer, you cannot leave your pencil. You can never leave your sketching. You can never leave your rendering. And once you master that, no matter what kind of concept comes your way, you will know what to do. This is what you need to do, that every design. Now this, I will tell you a short story about this piece. This center padaka, there's a center piece over there, that pendant was passed down to one of our clients as the 5th generation, right? The grandfather based it, उन्होंने अपने पोते की बहू को गिफ्ट किया था और उनकी ग्रैंडमदर ने पहना था. So there was a fifth thing. So this lady came to us and said, we want to restore this and all that. And the grandfather was bedridden. And he said that, this was been in the family. It's not that thing, but ye ek family heirloom hai, which we want to restore. There were a couple of stones that they had come out and everything, and they didn't know what to do about it. We recreated this design first. That render was created first, and then the product was created. And this is what I want to help you understand, that this is what you show to your client and you deliver. It's as simple as that. If you're not good with your pencil, if you're not good with your rendering, you will not be able to exactly get the details of your product to the end. So this is what, so there is no shortcut. Okay. Now, Coming on to this, that is the design skills. The more you the creativity is the key. मतलब आप imagine तो बहुत कुछ कर सकते हो, like you want to build the Taj Mahal, you will build it, right? But eventually when you want to get it down on the paper, you will not be able to do it. So that is why creativity is one aspect. The innovation, that everything has to be unique. It has to come from your soul. It has to come from your problem solving attitude. It has to, that hand sketching will help you build, get your ideas onto the paper, and that is the communication that you can have with your designer. The rendering will help you put that use and saturation without spending an extra buck over there. Okay, we have spent that amount of money. अब मुझे combination पसंद नहीं आ रहा, let's change it. So this is more of a sustainable option, that you, if you know how to render, you can always, just paint, have a field day, go wild with colors and all, and just explore. Because a designer is primarily first an artist, right? An artist has to follow the hearts, they have to follow the concepts, and the most brilliant concept comes from your soul. That's what I believe in. Then the technical drawings. Now, this is one aspect. एक आपने imaginary product तो बना दिया, but what about the technicalities? What about the joints? What about the 2D aspect? कितना उसमें dome चाहिए, कितना उसमें spread चाहिए, कितना आपको उसमें coverage चाहिए, अगर वो turn हो रहा है तो कहाँ से वो turn हो रहा है, उसकी modulations कैसी हैं? All these little things, all these little points is something that you need to plan as a designer. If you cannot get these things first on the paper, then आप कितना भी CAD design कर लीजिए, आप कितना भी procreate कर लीजिए, it will not come out to be as spectacular as you have imagined it to be. Then thorough knowledge of the materials, like I said that be it the world renowned art periods, I have it on the tip of my fingers, and I graduated more than a decade back, right? Almost 1.5 decade back. So whether it's material, so now when I talk to my clients, I don't talk to them about कि हमने ये design paper पे बनाया है और आप इसको लेना चाहें तो आप ऐसे ले सकते हैं. I tell them the boiling and the melting point of the product, because it's safe to say कि मैं एक पढ़ी लिखी कारीगर हूँ, right? That's the kind of designer that I am. I am thoroughly involved in the production first. I exactly know if you're talking about a concept, I can visualize it 3D in the mind because of all these attributes that I've just spoken to you about. And that is your sketching, your thorough knowledge, your technical detailing, your ability, and you have to do this. There is no other way about it. Then the production knowledge, like if you want to be a good designer, then you need to know how to get your, it is your responsibility कि आपका design है, आपको end product है, उसको कैसे लेके जाना है, right? उसका top view, side view, angle view, everything has to be planned, well planned in advance. And what are the challenges that you can face while linking? Because एक बात आप समझो कि artisans जो होते हैं, जो कारीगर हमारे होते हैं, अगर वो लाइक वी आर अ ग्रेजुएट डिजाइनर्स, राइट? चाहे आप किसी भी इंस्टीट्यूट से ग्रेजुएट हो, आपको एक थरो नॉलेज, एक टेक्नोलॉजी नॉलेज मिलती है. अ डिजाइनर इज द कम्युनिकेशन बिटवीन अ एंड कंज्यूमर एंड द आर्टिजन. सो इफ यू डोंट गेट योर कम्युनिकेशन राइट, आपको अगर प्रोडक्शन की नॉलेज नहीं है, आप उनको गाइड नहीं कर सकते हो कि how the outcome you want eventually of the product. Then the handcrafting techniques. Now as a designer you must know कि अगर कटक का फिलीग्री का वर्क स्पेशल है, तो अगर कोलकाता का अगर छिलाई का वर्क स्पेशल है, साउथ इंडिया का अगर एम्बोस्ड टेक्निक है, टेम्पल ज्वेलरी स्पेशल है, सो कहाँ की जो टेक्निक स्पेशल है, इफ यू वांट टू incorporate and bring a fusion out of those metals, then you need to know how to build that for your concept. And that is again will help you making a combination of these skills from technical, creative, and business standpoint, right? Now, another thing is this, that you should, as a designer, you should also protect, you should also know about IPR, right? Intellectual property rights, that will protect your concepts, your designs. If you're working so hard for your original designs, then you must protect them as well. Okay. So as a, so you must need to know as a designer from the wholesome कि सिर्फ ideation sketching तो एक part हो गया, आपको उसकी branding आनी चाहिए कि customer को कौन सा आपका right target audience है, उसके लिए आपको communication build करना पड़ेगा कि किस मैं क्या pitch करूंगी तो उसे वो product इतना appealing लगेगा that they want to go for that. Then e-commerce platforms, that how do they work? Now sitting here, nowadays it's so simple that you just have e-commerce platform where you list your work and people are able to think. So you must know how that operates, right? Even if you want to create your own jewelry and you want to sell it online, you must need to know about these. There are very short courses available, and you must need to upskill yourself. I do a lot of upskilling myself on every small notes wherever I get, because the same Procreate and all these things were not there when we were in school. We were more into, in NIFT, we were more into Corel Draw and Photoshop. We were never into Illustrator and all that, right? So yes, I was 1.5 decade back there, right? So now these emerging technology, you have to adapt if you want to stay ahead in the industry. Then the sustainable sourcing, ethical practices, like I said, the intellectual property rights. Now, if you're building a brand, you must know all these functions will help you create your own company someday. Okay. Then the networking. Now, it's also, people don't talk about it, but you need to have a very good rapport with the people around you, because they will eventually help you kickstart your work, kickstart your company, and then they will vouch for you. Eventually, the word of mouth and, the praise for you will get you there. Right, collaborations as in like with other designers, or with some exhibition centers, or with other NGO groups and all, where you're building a cause and you're mutually benefiting with each other, will help you get the word out there. But you need to know how to make it work first, right? And of course, a jewelry design degree, like Arohi, I said that it is very important. The education is the key in this part. And coming on to the final thing, which I particularly believe, that you need to you need to develop a very particular skill. You can be you can be jack of all and master of none, and that won't do. That will not give you success, right? You have to master a niche. You figure out your place where you want to be in your life. You see which category or which jewelry segment that fits, be it a merchandiser, be it a production manager, be it a designer, be it a, communication person, e-commerce person. You need to figure out your niche, what makes you want to come every day to work and make amazing progress, right? And of course, you cannot learn everything from institute also. You need to go out there and start from very small. And I'll share a very funny story. So apart from our college education, where we were covered with the entire thing, I used to sit with a lot of my senior peers. You teach me this part, and I will I will help you out with this. I'll assist you with other work and everything, so you assist me with this, and make me. So I got a lot of those practical knowledge, like assortment of the diamonds and how you practically see. We have learned everything theoretically, but it's also very important how you see the industrial aspect of that, right? So that's again is a very important part.
Great,
Yes.
Shreya ma'am. Thank you so much for such an insightful and a wonderful session. I think it was very, very informative, and the way you've told the learners about the little things and the little technicalities, that was absolutely wonderful. And to all the learners who are here, let me tell you, as Shreya ma'am suggested, that there should be a proper education, in case you want to venture into this field. So we at AAFT Online do have a one-year diploma program in jewelry designing, wherein you would be learning all this of rendering and how to create a design, and how to learn about the small other aspects of designing your own piece of jewelry. And in case you're interested to learn more about the program, you want to inquire about the curriculum, please drop in a message to us, or give us a call, or drop in an email to us on these numbers and email ID, and we'll be happy to assist you. Remember, our next batch of jewelry designing starts on the 15th of February, so you have a very limited time to give us a call. So, Shreya ma'am, just quickly, we'll be taking 2-3 questions, as we have many questions here.
Okay.
So, Gauri is asking that, does BIS work for gemstones as well, or do we have
No.
any other app?
No. BIS is created by Bureau of Indian Standards. It's only related to the gold jewelry authenticity. It is not for the labs, and if it's not for the gemstones. So if you want to certify and authenticate your gemstones, then like I suggest, the IGI or SGL labs, they will help you sort that out.
All right. Virendra is asking that, which 3D model machine you use and what is the cost of it?
See, the 3D machine, it's always more a sustainable choice, that there are these companies that you can outsource rather than having, in-house provisions for these things, because there's a lot of wastage in terms of the wax also, and in terms of the size of the things. And the average cost of these machines, if you go for a really detail-oriented one, will cost you approximately 80 lakhs to 1 crore. And that's why it's better advisable to outsource it rather than getting it in one. And yes, there are also small machines like 5 to 6 lakh ones. But of course, their maintenance and everything is too much of an hassle. So it's better to outsource.
All right, great. Thank you for answering that. Kushagra is asking that, ma'am, in general, why people do not talk about a 20 carat gold jewelry?
A
If
20, yeah. So 22 carat has always been a norm. And, in abroad countries, there is a 9 carat, which is available. So there is a certain market norm that has been followed. That is 14 carat, 18 carat. That is the percentage that it has been set. So 16 carat is also one of the jewelry. But so far, 20 carat has not been into picture.
Okay, all right. And Virendra is again asking a question that if we compare the price of lab grown and natural diamonds, if you could, put it in numbers, how would that be?
So, 1 carat, 1 carat round cut diamond of the same color clarity, will approximately be 11 to 12 lakhs. And, if you go for the same color clarity, let's say, let's evaluate a D color and a VVS one. So it will approximately, be anything between 9 to 10 lakhs. And the same color clarity in a lab grown will be approximately 35 to 50,000, depending on the source that you acquire from. So that's the kind of difference. That's why the lab grows are getting more popular.
All right. I think that was very, very helpful. Okay, one last question, that one or two. For silver also, is BIS needed?
For silver, yes, there is a different set of manufacturing, though we are more focused on the gold. And for silver, there's a separate set of authentication. And there is this number that is generally given inside. But yes, there's a certification standard for that also.
All right. And Dr. Rupali is here and she's asking that she's not sure how to go into the manufacturing side of this. So how to begin, her career there.
Well, that's what taken me almost a decade, I would say. Okay. So yes, to put it in short, Dipali, right? Yes. Yeah.
Rupali.
So, yeah. All right. So Dipali, first thing is that you need to understand the process thoroughly, and how from the, like, what are the steps that is involved in fabrication. And the best part would be that initially you associate yourself. If you're looking to start this business, focus one thing at a time. You can associate yourself with company for initial outsourcing of the production, and you can focus on building other brands. Then once you, while coordinating, you'll eventually learn the ropes, and that's how you can eventually acquire one team member at a time for building your own production.
All right. Thank you so much, Shreya ma'am, for such a wonderful session and for taking out time for this incredible, webinar. And I'm so thankful to you for all the things that you told us today. I mean, there were certain things which were really eye-openers for all of us.
I hope I'm able to make that contribution. Thank you so much for having me here. And in case of any questions, you can always send us via email and we can help you out. Okay.
Sure. And to all the learners, I could see few questions as in how long is the duration of the course, etc. So we have this 1-year diploma program in jewelry designing, wherein you would be able to learn all the nitty-gritties of how to design jewelry pieces from the comfort of your own homes. And in case you want to learn more about the program, these are the numbers and the email ID, and you can just, connect with us and we'll be happy to help you. And thank you, Shreya ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you.